Okay, here we go. Episode 7, Overland Journal. A lot has happened since last I uploaded a video, and I'm going to try to unpack it all as succinctly as I can in this particular video. Since you last heard from me, I have been down a lot of different roads. I've seen wrecked ships. I have washed myself in numerous incredibly cold streams, and as usual, I have shed blood on more occasions than I really want to mention. I've kept up with the vehicle the entire time, and I've met up with subscribers along the way, and some of them are pretty damn badass. Yeah, she's pretty badass. Oh, plus, the other thing is, I almost went off a mountain pass in the rain at 9,600 feet because the truck stalled. So you're going to want to sit back, you're going to want to relax, and you are most definitely going to want to check this out. So since my last video, an awful lot has happened, but I finally made plans to pull out of Oregon and figure out which direction I was going in next. And I spent a lot of time doing this because I had a lot of people that wanted to meet up with me, and I wanted to make sure I used my time as best as I possibly could. And I plotted my course. I'm going to be going through upstate Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Colorado, down into Utah, and then who knows, I'm not sure as of yet, but it's been a long day. I am out. On my travels out of Oregon, I thought I'd stop at a few places, and one of the places was Fort Stevens, where there was a 275 long, 4-masted steel bark sailing vessel out of Liverpool, England that had wrecked there. The wreck happened October 25th in 1906 as the ship struggled through a storm on its way to the mouth of the Columbia River. Luckily, no ghost hunt the ship remains. The entire crew made it safely to shore. But as you can see by the video, there's a ton of people there at all times. And it's also Fort Stevens, and it's also a you can come see it, but give us money state park. So I couldn't get any drone footage. But I waded in up to my waist with my keys and my wallet in my pocket to get this footage. So, I hope you enjoy it. Interesting fact about this is Captain Lawrence's final toast to his ship was, "May God bless you and may your bones bleach in the sand." Pretty crazy, right? So it's 12:30, Wednesday afternoon. I got 100 miles under my belt. I left late, but I didn't really want to leave Tish and Ace, but I did. And I'm just outside of Portland, and I just had to put the air conditioning on that hasn't been on in a week because it's that hot. It's 90 degrees, and I'm driving into the high noon sun, so I hate running the AC, but I'm old. And I somehow, while checking my nuts and retorquing, I had my tires rotated yesterday, so after 100 miles I got out and checked the torque on all the lug nuts, and then went under the truck and checked everything that could possibly be loosening up or floating away, and somehow managed to cut my hand wide open. Didn't even notice it until I looked down and it was dripping blood. Blood, sweat, and tears, and happiness. Happiness about being on the road. Spending almost a week total with Ace and Tish was awesome. chopper was awesome. Going down to the Redwoods twice, going up and down the coast twice was awesome. Oregon is badass. And you don't even realize how nice the weather is until you leave and just come out 50, 60, 70 miles inland. And it's like, oh yeah, it's still July out west. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm pushing to Montana through Idaho. I have a couple of subscribers to meet in each state. And I'm still thinking about Redding, California. But they're starting to lock it down again with the ridiculous mandates, which will spread. But it makes me very reluctant to go there. So that's where I'm at currently. So there, as they say, or as I say, is that. So this is one of my favorite parts. I drove this last year. I'm driving next to the Columbia River and it's just beautiful. Last year when I came up this, all the state parks were closed because of, exactly, the global pandemic. Right now, they're open. So I'm gonna find a spot to make me some lunch because it's 1:30 and all I ate today was an apple. So I'm gonna find me a nice little state park because you can't pull over anywhere. Any place that's of any consequence is a state park and you need to pay them because home and free, land of the brave, etc. Where the deer and the buffalo roam. You can find them at any rate. So I'm at one of the many state parks off of this road next to the Columbia River. And Oregon is beautiful, man. It is ridiculous. You can stop anywhere and it's beautiful, man. You see what I'm saying? This is beautiful. Train track, a little very low bridge going over a badass. I'm gonna say this is a brook. We'll call this a brook. All right? And I'm from Boston, so we don't even know what a brook is, so put a sock in it. But that is phenomenal. I'm gonna say this is a good place to have a sandwich. So that's what I'm gonna do. So after opening up the back of the truck, which is a little bit like a Rubik's Cube, you got to kind of swivel and smooth your way in there, which I do pretty good for an old fat guy, just to get at the refrigerator. But it keeps burglars away for the most part. I had some seafood salad that I picked up the night before, and I wanted to eat it because even though I'm on the coastline, I don't trust seafood away from home, period. Eating like this is perfect for me because I've eaten like a Viking my entire life. And like I said, I've been single by design for quite a while. So I'm pretty good at eating with a minimal amount of dishes and pots and so forth and so on. I don't need anything fancy. Just high protein, low carbohydrates, and as little fat as humanly possible because I'm already storing it like a hibernating bear. So there is that. So being from the East Coast, I was worried that seafood salad would be drastically different. But this is the second time I've got it, and it tastes the same. So if you ever wondered, now you know. And I love seafood salad and bread and butter pickles. It's awesome. And yes, I eat and live like a Viking. So I'm still on Route 84 East and I had a slight problem with the truck. The road is terrible, so I can't tell if for the last 30 miles the truck's been vibrating or it's just the road. So, to be safe, I pulled over. And strangely, I noticed my rear differential was dripping diff fluid. I'm like, what? So this is where I found to relax while I'm doing this. So that does not suck at all. Now that little rushing stream was just the tip of the iceberg. Where I had ended up was Starvation Creek in Viento Ridge going into the Columbia River, about 8 miles west of Hood River in the Columbia River Gorge. This place has a 186-foot waterfall, and the reason it's called Starvation Creek is that a Pacific Express passenger train was trapped near the creek in a snow from a blizzard for 21 days, from December 16th to January 6th, 1885. With 148 passengers on board, the Pacific left the Dallas but failed in its first attempt to reach Portland. On an attempt the second day, it joined with a train from Umatilla, 2 trains from the Pacific Northwest, 2 from the Short Line, and 1 from the ORN locals. The 3-engine Pacific Express traveled about 2 miles beyond Viento when it ran into a 25-foot deep snow slide. The train's crew and passengers soon discovered they were blocked from behind as well. After many hours, passengers and crews shoveling the blocking snow slides, the crew was able to back up the train over a trestle. News of the snowbound trains, which had little food on board, was reported daily in the Portland Morning Oregonian, and the train became the object of numerous relief attempts. Before long, over a dozen rescue engines were scattered along the tracks as heavy snow kept falling. The train's coal supply was soon exhausted and the wooden seats were burned for heat. With food growing alarmingly scarce, the conductor ordered most of the able-bodied men to walk to Portland. About 80 men, many with their feet wrapped in towels, left the train in extreme blizzard conditions to make their way to the city. Many walked all the way to Portland, approximately 50 miles, and few stayed at Cascade Locks, about 11 miles away. Others caught up with the Portland shoveling crews and snowplows to hitch a ride back with them. From Hood River, a crew of men were paid $10 a day to pack food to the trains. More than 800 men from Portland, working for $250 a day and board, shoveled snow from the west end of the gorge. At about the same time, news stories reported that 2 passengers had starved to death and that smallpox had broken out. Neither report was true. On January 6, workers broke through the last snowslide on Oneida Falls between Horsetail and Multnomah Falls. The Pacific Express, along with several trains that had been waiting in the Dallas, chugged down the tracks, now with over 400 passengers and crew members aboard. The trains labored down the final stretch, through Sullivan's Gulch in Portland to the transfer ferry on the Willamette River and finally across to the river to the Ash Street Station. The passengers who swarmed into the brightly lit ticket office had spent 3 chilling weeks snowbound on a railroad trestle on the Columbia River. The stranded passengers and crews were often cold and hungry, but no one starved, no one died, and no one was lost. The little stream near the place where they were trapped was originally called Starve Out Creek. It later became Starvation Creek. The area is now Starvation Creek Park. And I got all this amazing footage with a Canon EOS R5 in super slow motion and sometimes not so much slow motion. But I literally almost killed myself trying to get phenomenal footage, so I hope you enjoy it. And the history I just read to you was from the Oregon Encyclopedia. Links will be pinned in the description below if you want to find out more, because it's very interesting, and those people were Americans. if you're gonna stop and let your truck cool down, this is the place to do it. You see what I'm saying? I do indeed see what you're saying. But as beautiful as this place was, I pulled over for a reason, and I had to get to it because I did have to hit the road. So, once again, in the 100-degree heat, I jumped under the truck, and I started checking fluids, and I topped off whatever needed topping off. My transfer case has had a slight leak in it for quite a while, ever since I rebuilt it and put it back together in 2019. So, I put a little royal purple in there, wiped everything down, double-checked everything, and decided that the vibration wasn't the truck at all, it was the road. But still, I'd rather check and be safe instead of sorry. So it's 20 past 5, Wednesday afternoon. I just shut the truck down for an hour at a place called Starvation River or Starvation Stream or something to that effect. Whatever it was, I don't care what the name was. The road was so bad for so long, 84 East, it made me feel like something was loose under the truck. It wasn't the truck, it was the road. But I don't know that until I shut the truck down, climb under there in the 99-degree weather, and check, which I did. But the spot that I stopped at had the most magnificent waterfall ever. And if you were stupid enough to climb up the incredibly steep rocks that you could not keep under your feet because they kept sliding, to get footage for your YouTube channel that most people don't even care about, you could get bomb-ass footage. And I did. And it's awesome. So, if the road didn't suck, I never would have stopped there. There's your silver lining. You see what I'm saying? And I'm almost to Bend, Oregon right now. It's beginning to look a lot like Utah. You see what I'm saying? It's 7:30, Wednesday afternoon. And I've been pushing and pushing and pushing on the highway on the Washington-Oregon border, 84 East. And it's been hot, so I've been running the AC. And every time I get it up past 75 miles an hour, I get a strange smell. And I kept thinking, just, dude, it's nothing, don't worry about it. But then I kept thinking about me yakking in videos how I always smell my truck. This and that. So I'm checking to make sure nothing is burning or melting or the like. I used to have a windshield washer reservoir right here, but the massive exhaust leak that I had melted it. So now, shit, my little flare camera. Now my washing reservoir is right there, which is awesome. Because I got so much extra space in the truck. And plus, I don't want windshield washer. So the exhaust leak melted my front brake line and ate my washer reservoir. So that, as they say, sucks. I'm in Oregon. This is just a great big empty hotel room. Totally it's weird. Back home, this kind of shit's boarded up. Out west, it's just left open and people come in and they do Illuminati stuff. That's what I've been driving through for the last 2 hours. I was next to the Columbia River and it was beautiful, and now it's just desert wasteland. So, I wonder if that's a house. Like Breaking Bad, they're making meth in there. Who knows? I'm out. So I kept pushing on, and it was all uphill from here, for real. Plus, it was getting close to almost 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, and I needed a place to park, and I wasn't finding one. This was just up and up and up, no services, no gas, no nothing. And then I finally saw a spot that said SCENIC Overlook. And I didn't know if that was a rest stop or what it was. But whatever it was at the top of this mountain. And it did look rather scenic. And I was really hoping it was a place that I could pop my top, set my tent up, and rack out for the night. Because I was absolutely in the no man's land between Oregon and Utah and nothing in between. Except 18-wheelers and serious climbs. And these climbs sucked because they all had hairpins. So I had to keep slowing down over and over again. But I made it, eventually. And then, of course... Well, I just found the rest stop. And it's not a rest stop, it's a scenic overlook. But it doesn't say you can't camp. And yes, I'm bleeding again. Twice today. When I was pulling out my ladder, the little hooks on the top caught me right in the face. And I looked and I'm like, oh, at least I ain't bleeding. Wrong. But check this out. I'm gonna stay here because screw it. But look at this view. And even with 18-wheelers going by, it's pretty quiet up here. And I want to see what this looks like when the sun isn't completely obscured. This is a serious overlook. You might be able to see all the way to the ocean from here. I don't know, but I'll know in the morning, at any rate. So when the morning came, I don't know what happened to the footage. That's the problem with using 4 to 6 cameras, 5 GoPros, 4 drones. Sometimes you lose it in the shuffle. But here's some footage I took with a Nikon P950 as the sun broke through the clouds, literally. Take a look at that. It was pretty amazing. And it was an enormous expanse, and it was a good spot to sleep for the night because it was quiet as could be. And using a flashlight at night, I could see all types of eyes looking at me while I was getting in my tent, which was kind of cool. It don't bother me none. At any rate, I gotta push on. I'm heading towards Montana, correct? It is 7:30 a.m. I've already gone 50 miles. I just stopped and got gas. I checked all my nuts and bolts that could possibly loosen up because I am now at 4,000 feet. And I am heading into Idaho at some point in the next hour and a half, I'm told. So I'm driving and driving and driving and driving and driving for hours on end. Nothing to look at, nothing to videotape, just driving and waiting for the next gas station to show up. And while I'm driving, with nothing else to do except look out the windshield and listen to the truck, I notice a tick. Now surely, this can't be an issue with the exhaust. It can't be. I had a custom exhaust put in the beginning of the year. I just had this custom exhaust repaired 3 weeks ago. Surely this is not happening again. So it is Friday morning, and 2 of the flex expansion joints they installed on my exhaust 3 weeks ago, on the 9th, one of them is already blown out. So, again, I'm on my way to Colorado Springs because I want the same kid that worked on my truck to work on my truck again. And I just ordered 2 sets of flex joints from Summit Racing and paid for next day to get them shipped to Colorado Springs. They're supposed to be for turbo applications. This is insane, man. This is insane. This exhaust has cost me 1 week, easy. 1, 2, 3, 4 hotel rooms. The gas to drive from Oregon to Colorado. It's unbelievable. But I got this room last night, and it's a joke. I'm in Utah. I'm in whatever the guy's name that discovered Mormonism. I'm in that town. At any rate, I get a hotel room, and I said, she's like, do you care about, I said, I don't care about the beds, I don't care about anything. I'm here to make a video. All I care about is Wi-Fi. She puts me in a room, and I'm like, what is that noise? I'm trying to record and the microphone's picking it up. It's a banging noise. Well, it's a banging noise because right over there is apparently a 24-hour shooting range. And all you can hear in the hotel room all day and all night, obviously, are gunshots. So in the Redwood video, if you happen to catch a few bang bangs in the background, yeah, that's Utah. At any rate, I'm waiting for this video to upload. It says 2.5 hours to upload a 36-minute video. We'll see what happens. At any rate, I am out. So once again, my entire planned route is ruined. I'm not going to Montana. Instead, I have to go back to Colorado Springs on a Friday. The muffler shop, or any muffler shop, isn't open till Monday. Turns out I couldn't get in till Tuesday. So my truck was down for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And the slight exhaust leak that I caught was unbelievable by the time I got to Colorado Springs. The truck was once again undrivable. So it's noontime Friday. I am back on the road headed towards Colorado Springs. I ordered two sets of flex expansion couplings for my exhaust, 2.5 inch. I talked to the guys at Bud's Muffler. They said order them, bring them, and we'll put them in. And he said, I've never heard of one of these things failing. And I'm like, well, that's why I asked you when you put them in if you had any super heavy duty ones. He seems to have forgotten that. Whatever. My first 10 miles in the truck, since it sat all night, and it rained last night, so it cooled up a lot. Every time I come to Utah, I bring precipitation. I know it sounds stupid or funny or whatever, but every time I come to Utah, it rains and someone notices it. It's strange, whatever. Cool. The rainmaker. When I started the truck up, the exhaust leak is pronounced. It's getting much, much worse. So I had the parts next day, which means they won't get there till Monday, which means they won't get to it till Tuesday, and I hope they can come up with a different plan. I know he told me he had Bud's mufflers all over the country or the West Coast or whatever, but I want the same kid that did this to do this again. It's the kid that I hooked up with the gratuity, if you recall. He did nice work. It's not his fault that the expansion joints failed. I got the ones that are supposed to be able to handle a turbo. We'll see what happens. So as bad as the weather in Utah had been, the weather in Wyoming was even worse. Wyoming was absolutely kicking my ass. 7,000 feet, wind advisories to 50 to 60 mile an hour gusts and lightning. And my truck is limping now because the exhaust is really, really leaking now. I got no choice but to make it to Colorado Springs, and I will. At this point, the exhaust is so loud and ridiculous, I cannot even stand it. Now, I can't imagine that you're the sensitive type if you follow me on YouTube, but in the next little segment, there may be some obscenities because I have had it with this entire setup. I brought this to K&G Performance. I told them the problem. They said they would square it away. They installed the expansion joints incorrectly, causing this entire scenario to have to happen. If they did their job right, this would not be happening. So this is my response so far. Wyoming is kicking the shit out of me. 50 mile an hour wind gust according to the signs. I can't get past 65 miles an hour even going downhill. This sucks. And the reason I'm doing this is because my fucking exhaust is fucked again. Okay, Route 80 west east just kicked my ass. I'm at 8,000 feet right now, and I'm gonna boondock, or I'm gonna park against the rules. No overnight camping. I'm gonna hide behind the 18-wheelers because the wind up here, the wind is 50 miles an hour. I have to punch it going downhill. The wind's so bad. I've had enough. I've had an absolute enough. 200 miles of it kicked the shit out of me. So this is where I'm camping for tonight. I haven't eaten shit today. I've just been driving because my exhaust is fucked again. Unbelievable, man. And I don't blame it on Buds. They repaired it using the parts they use. Okay? They weren't the guys that I gave the job to. They weren't the guys that I said, this truck eats exhaust. It's supercharged. It has a header on it. You know what I mean? This all falls right on them. And I can't believe that we're in episode 6, 7, or 8 right now, and we're still talking about the fucking exhaust. Driving from Oregon, I was going to Montana until I noticed, I knew it. I could hear it. Tick, 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 tick. And now it just sounds like a Honda Accord all over again. So I got like 3-4 hours of driving to get to Colorado Springs tomorrow. And then I'm just gonna shack up in a hotel because these guys aren't open till Monday. But I had parts next day from Summit, 2 sets of these things for turbo applications. And I got them overnighted or next day, and I've already got the text saying they ship, so I don't mind. I'll just do Colorado now. You know what I mean? End of July is good in Colorado, so it's all good. Hit Moab in September. Yeah, that'll work. Whatever. Listen to this exhaust. I made it to Colorado Springs before it completely blew up, but it's bad. Yeah, it's back. Yeah, it was back, but I made it. I traveled a long, long way, and Colorado Springs was the smartest choice. Even though I was heading to Montana, I was basically going in the somewhat same direction. But here's something many of you may or may not have known. Some people do. There's a reason I suddenly started making episodes that were 30 minutes or longer. They're not just going to be on YouTube. So the fact that these guys don't stand behind their work is going to be the worst thing ever. And it's amazing to me that we are in episode 7 and we're still talking about the exhaust. It's exhausting, at any rate. So I had to wait till Tuesday for them to work on my truck. The parts that I had next day, they decided not to use them at all. They said, let's get rid of these 2 expansion joints. You already have a giant one under the truck, and they don't seem to be working out. So the truck's fixed, and I hook up with a subscriber, and this is what that looked like. My subscriber and her significant other hit me up and wanted to go take out their new weapons and learn how to use them safely. Well, I knew somebody that was close by in Wyoming, and I knew that Wyoming didn't have any bans on magazines, so that's where we headed. And it was pretty awesome. But my buddy's property was way up a mountain pass, 9,500 feet up a mountain pass to be exact. These guys were actually familiar with the area, and I was not, but no big deal. Every place I go, I'm not familiar with the area, so nothing new here for me. Now, bear in mind, we're on private property, and none of the weapons are mine. Obviously, they belong to my subscribers, but I had no problem showing them how to properly handle them, seeing how I was Top Gun when I was in the military. So there's that. So we get to the location, and she shows me what she's got, and I'm familiar with both of the weapon platforms, no problem. I show her what to do. I explain the safeties and the importance of safeties, air protection, eyeglasses, and to always point your weapon either uprange, up, or straight down. I was amazed how well she picked up upon this. She said she had skeet shooting in her background, but never anything with a straight barrel rifle with a extended magazine, we'll call it. I'm not going to call it an assault rifle because that's ridiculous. Her flat-footed partner was a little bit different. California boy who stood flat-footed as though he was waiting for someone to hand him a slice of pizza. I wasn't very impressed, but this young lady, on the other hand, she took to it big time. Safety. Even when it started pouring out and then that turned into hail, remember, we're at 9,500 feet and we have to drive down. She grabbed one of my raincoats out of my truck, threw it on, and continued to move like a Navy SEAL. It was phenomenal watching a mother of two exercising her Second Amendment right and actually training and seeking help in learning how to best use her weapons. It was phenomenal, and it was my pleasure to do it. Everybody's got a raincoat that I gave them, except for me, so that sucks. That's the story of my life. I've many times given the shirt off my back, even though I end up getting screwed. But here's the deal. We're in a wash, in a valley, and we need to go down, and the rain has turned to hail, and it's time to get out of there. And that's just what we did. So, 2 of my subscribers got new weapons and they wanted me to show them how to use them. So I said, sure, why not? I'll never pass up a chance to shoot, right? They take us up a mountain pass. We're up 10,000 feet now and have to... And we have to descend to 6,000. So that's awesome. So it's 4 o'clock and we just stopped shooting and we're driving down the mountain and I realized I haven't eaten today. So Annie's ravioli, I pulled over. I was starving, so I had to. It is what it is, whatever. So the thing I didn't mention when I stopped to eat, my 2 subscribers had already bailed on me. They just completely went down the mountain and left me up there. I've never been up there in my life. And now I'm driving down a very precarious road that is soaking wet. If you look to the left and right, you'll see the small rivers running to the left or the right or right down the middle of the trail. And you'll also notice the trail goes straight down on the other side. Now, I came around a very, very sharp turn because there was a lot of them and the truck stalled, meaning I had no steering and no brakes. The truck's in 4-wheel low, but only 2-wheel drive. And this has never happened to me before. So this was my response. So yes, the truck stalled coming down that incline because my gas is so low. My light wasn't on yet, but my gas got so low that it ran out. Fortunately, I got a little gas with me. The problem with that diagnosis is I wasn't out of gas. It's a speed sensor issue, which I'm working on currently, but I didn't know it at the time. Because the people that I took to show how to use their weapons bailed. They're not even here, they're gone. So that's kind of cool. At least I had gas. Coming around a super steep corner, and it's like, wow, the RPMs are real low. The truck was stalled, no steering, no brakes. That could have been super ugly, but it wasn't, so all is well. So don't shed any tears, we're fine. This is my life, I love it. Yeah, at any rate, getting gas. Look at these trees. These are those night birch or whatever they are that you find up at altitude. I'm at 9,000 feet right now. Yeah, I'll show you how to use those bad boys. I've used them before. Later, thanks, bye-bye. Now the only reason in the world I didn't go off that pass right there is from that big piece of wood you just saw. It stopped my front tire and the truck just happened to stop. Unbelievable, because I would have went right down into that bush and there was nobody around. At any rate, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe, and links to the other 6 episodes will be pinned in the comment section below. Leave a comment and I will try to reply. I am out.